Authentic version. Wen Yi crossed into the world of the card lord and drew the only special skill. The 5-in-1 of everything. From then on, Wen Yi embarked on a path of strengthening his card bloodline, improving the quality of his weapons, aggressively raiding ownerless lands, expanding his territory, developing territorial infrastructure, mining rare minerals, and raising indigenous descendants in captivity 100,000 Y versions. Why are we still using sophisticated weapons at the same level, while that kid has a complete set of shimmers? Why is my group of card players vulnerable to a single blow, while that kid's wild man can single-handedly challenge the boss? Why are we still using mud bricks to build bungalows, while that kid has already built skyscrapers? Why did I work hard for half a month to get a rookie title, and the title on that kid's head is already higher than the clouds? Also, what kind of ghost is the title of Cato Hybridist? Keywords of the novel. Card Lord. I can synthesize all things without pop-ups, Card Lord. I can synthesize all things, download the complete TXT collection, Card Lord. I can synthesize all things, read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Emperors of Europe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Emperors of Europe. When a person wakes up from a coma, the first organs to awaken are the nose and ears. When he first smelled the salty smell, then heard the sound of the waves. After slowly opening his eyes, his gaze was filled with the blue color. Where is this? When Yi supported his slightly painful head, slowly sat up, looked around, only to see endless sea water, and his position was a floating small island. Saying it's a small island, it's actually just a floating land of 5 square meters. The sea. Wen Yi was a bit confused and tried to recall the previous events. I remember coding in front of the computer. How did I suddenly come here? Suddenly, there was a sharp pain in Wen Yi's head, and a large amount of information flooded in. After a while, with a slightly pale face, he finally confirmed a fact. He traveled through, into a real gaming world. What is truth? That is to say, once he dies, he will not be able to resurrect like in the games he knows, but truly die. At this moment, a grand voice rang out. Number 0000004587, welcome to the floating world. Territory is currently being bound. Binding completed. The opening box has been delivered. Number 0000004587. As a newcomer, you have had an opportunity to draw a special skill. Do you want to use it? Accompanied by this mechanical and grand sound, a light blue screen appeared in front of Wen Yi. In the center of the screen was a turntable, which was divided into countless squares. The small characters marked in the squares were densely packed, making people feel nauseous and dizzy at first glance. It's hard to see what the content is. What do you want me to smoke? Wen Yi roast. There are a total of 1 billion common skills, 1 million intermediate skills, 10,000 advanced skills, and the only special skill in the turntable. Do you want to listen to all the introductions? It will take approximately 407 years, 11 months, 28 days, 14 hours, 55 minutes, and 33 seconds to complete all the introductions. Stop, stop, stop. Just go ahead and smoke. Wen Yi felt dizzy as he listened to all the introductions, which would take over 400 years. He said, this introduction can take me through several reincarnations. Extracting, please wait. The sound rang out, and after the turntable moved, Wen Yi realized a fatal problem. The turntable had no pointers. So, what's the point of this spinning wheel? It's obvious that this turntable is just a bluff. 10 seconds later, the turntable slowly stopped and a dazzling red light appeared, accompanied by a system sound. Congratulations, you have drawn the only special skill. The 5-in-1 of everything. Isn't that right? With a chance of over 1 in a billion, I also got drawn. Did I become possessed by the European emperor after crossing the time? Wen Yi was stunned, and the red light turned into a stream of light that penetrated his chest and disappeared, then a skill panel appeared in front of his eyes. 5-in-1, the only special skill that cannot be upgraded. Skill description. Put 5 items into the synthesis panel, and after synthesis, you will receive 1 item. Please explore the specific situation yourself. Under the skill description, there are 5 spaces. Wen Yi understood that these spaces are for storing items. The description of the key skill is too vague. After synthesis, are the items obtained brand new or have they been strengthened from previous items? Okay, it's all up to exploring on your own. Wen Yi felt a bit helpless. Let's first see what we can do at the moment. As soon as he turned around, he saw a broken wooden box lying on the ground. After opening it, a series of prompt messages rose up. You have obtained 10 kilograms of clean water. You received 5 kilograms of salted fish jerky. You have obtained a worn-out longbow and 10 worn-out arrows. Okay, this is the opening box. Also when he picked up the long bow, which was dilapidated and emitting a smell of decay. In a moment of thought, the message of the longbow came to his mind. Weapon. Worn longbow physical attack. Free skill. None description. It works just fine. Is there an attack value? Wen Yi's eyes stiffened, and then he finally found his information on the transparent screen in front of him. Name. Wen Yi race. Human gender. Male territory area. 5 square meters level. 1 experience value. 0/100 HP 100 physical attack. 3 magic attack. 0 armor. 1 can simultaneously control cards. 10 skill. All things in 1, unique special skill, physical attack power is only 3. Wen Yi looked at the long bow in his hand incredulously and casually threw it to the ground, checking his own information again. Physical attack. 0/0. Does it mean I don't have any attack power? Wen Yi choked silently. After a while, he finally accepted that he was a scumbag with 0 combat power. He checked the information of the arrow again. Weapon. Worn arrows physical attack. 7 skill. None description. Rusty iron products barely break. Looking at the 10 rusty arrows, Wen Yi's eyes lit up. He opened the panel of the 5-in-1 of everything and threw in 5 old arrows. Click to synthesize. The 5 worn-out arrows emitted a faint glow, then merged into 5 streams of light. After the dazzling light faded away, a black arrow emerged, without the rust stains of the past. Even the arrows emitted sharp reflections. Weapon. Black iron arrow physical attack. 14 skill. None description. Black arrows. This 5-in-1 has become stronger, the prefix has changed to black iron, which has changed the quality of weapons. Wen Yi was ecstatic. As far as he knows, the quality of weapons can be divided into 8 qualities. Worn-out, black iron, excellent, magic, shimmer, light, brilliance, and abyss. Just now, after the 5 worn-out arrows were combined through the 5-in-1 of all things, they became black iron arrows, which greatly improved their quality. In theory, as long as I can collect enough worn-out arrows, I can synthesize arrows of excellent or even higher magical quality. When he thought of the word magic and his heart became increasingly hot. Once any weapon reaches magical quality, it will produce special effects, and after reaching low light quality, the weapon will not only emit light, but also produce various powerful skills. Just as Wen Yi was excited, a mournful wolf cry woke him up. He turned his head and saw a floating land of 5 square meters, rapidly approaching him. On that land, there was a fierce-looking wild wolf. Ahem. The wild wolf grinned at Wen Yi and made a pouncing motion as the land got closer and closer. Beast invasion. Please pick up your weapons to defend your home. The mechanical system sounds. As for Wen Yi, he had already bent his bow and set an arrow, aiming the black iron arrow at the wild wolf. Whoosh! The arrow shot through the air, and Wen Yi, who had no shooting experience, was lucky enough to hit the wolf's back. A burst of blood burst out, and then a number appeared on the wolf's head. 17. Newcomers seek to collect new books. Investment. Voting. Thank you, ORZ. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. The Attack of Wild Men. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. The attack of wild men. After the wild wolf was shot with an arrow, when he finally saw the wolf's HP value. 33 of 50. At present, he still has 5 worn-out arrows left, each dealing 7 damage, and with the addition of the worn-out longbow, the damage is 10. And the wild wolf still has 33 health points, which means that Wen Yi can only make one mistake in the next 5 arrows. Wen Yi was extremely certain that if he couldn't kill this wild wolf with his 5 arrows, his bare-handed self would definitely become the food in its mouth. He bent his bow and arched, trying to calm his breath, and then suddenly let go of his fingers that hooked on the arrow. Whoosh! 0.10. Whoosh! 0.10. Whoosh! Whoosh! 0.10. Whoosh! 0.3. The wild wolf fell to the ground, its body shining with stars, and finally condensed into a bronze card in the air. Bang! With a loud bang, the 2 floating lands finally collided, and a flash of light flashed through. The 2 seamlessly merged into one. Wen Yi walked up to the body of the wild wolf and grabbed the bronze card in his hand. That's right, this is a world of cards. Card name. Wild Wolf Rhubarb Quality. Bronze Star Rating. 1 star Bloodline. 1 fold HP, 50 Physical Attack. 15 Attack Speed. 1.0, attacks once per second. Armor. 0 Skill. Bite, after attacking enemies, deal 30 physical damage. Cooling time of 30 seconds. Thanks to good luck, if it were to activate its skills in close combat, my 100 HP small body wouldn't be able to withstand a few bites, Wen Yi muttered with lingering fear. With a thought in his mind, he put the wild wolf and yellow card into his card pack. Card bag, a separate space dedicated to storing cards. At this moment, the body of the wild wolf on the ground slowly disappeared, and there were still 2 items left. Wen Yi squatted down to check one by one. Equipment. Worn wolf skin cloak armor. 1 skill. None description. A cloak wearing a hat. Food. 10 servings of wild wolf meat, each serving can restore 100 points of satiety, 10 portions of wild wolf meat and a piece of equipment that adds 1 point of armor. Is this a good harvest? Wen Yi smiled slightly and put the 10 portions of wild wolf meat into the package space, then put the worn-out wolf skin cloak on his body. Wen Yi arrived at the edge of the land and looked at his blurry reflection in the seawater, still feeling a majestic aura. Not bad, it's a perfect match for my handsome face, Wen Yi muttered to himself, feeling quite narcissistic. Ahem. Ahem. Another wolf cry sounded, and Wen Yi quickly turned around to see another floating land of 5 square meters, carrying a wild wolf, rapidly approaching him. Coming again. Wen Yi cursed angrily and quickly took out the wild wolf big yellow card. Then, with a fierce swing on the ground, a gray wild wolf appeared in front of him. De Huang, I can only rely on you this time. Wen Yi took a few steps back and let the wild wolf De Huang stand in front of him. He looked at the fierce wild wolf across from him, as if he remembered something. He tore off his tattered wolf skin cloak and threw it onto De Huang's body. Dong! 2 pieces of land collided, and the wild wolf, big yellow, with a wolf skin hat on his head and a wolf skin cloak, rushed towards the opposite wild wolf. Rhubarb slapped the wolf's face with a paw. .15 Then, Rhubarb also got a paw from the opposite side. Bite. Wen Yi's mind twitched and activated his skill. .30. .15. After the rhubarb bit and activated it, it swung its paw again, and the wild wolf on the opposite side fell to the ground with a faint bronze light, finally turning into a bronze card. Rhubarb, well done. Wen Yi excitedly stepped forward and began counting the spoils. A worn-out wolf skin cloak, 10 portions of wild wolf meat, and a bronze card of wild wolf ash. After packing everything up, Wen Yi summoned the wild wolf Big Gray and fed it and Big Huang 5 portions of wild wolf meat each, adding 500 points of satiety. The creatures summoned by cards are called card players, card spirits, or card slaves. Kato has a satiety attribute bar, and once satiety reaches 0, he will die permanently. In non-combat mode, Kato's satiety consumption is very slow, but once it enters combat mode, it will consume extremely quickly. Take the example of Wild Wolf Rhubarb, which consumed 50 points of satiety in just one battle. This is still the end of the battle quickly, otherwise it will consume more. After arranging the two wild wolves, Wen Yi decided to take the initiative and control the territory that had become 15 square meters, moving forward on the open sea. Suddenly, a piece of land of about 5 square meters appeared ahead, with only a wild wolf on it. Wen Yi immediately controlled the territory to approach, and Wild Wolf Big Huang and Wild Wolf Big Gray launched an attack together, quickly taking down the wild wolf and harvesting a bronze wild wolf card and 10 portions of wild wolf meat. Although both Rhubarb and Ash have been attacked, HP will recover at a rate of 1 point per second after leaving the battle. Wen Yi controlled the territory and set sail again, soon discovering a 10 square meter floating land with 2 fierce wild wolves and a spring eye. After seeing the spring eye, Wen Yi was overjoyed and quickly approached. 3 wild wolves attacked at the same time, winning the victory without any doubt. At this point, a dazzling golden light suddenly shone on Wen Yi's body. He's upgraded. Wen Yi, who has been promoted to level 2, finally has 3 physical attacks and is not a man with no blood dripping ability. Wen Yi picked up the clear water sprayed from the spring with his hand and tasted it, cold and sweet. Although the water output is not high, it at least solves the current freshwater problem. 1 hour later, Wen Yi's territory expanded to 50 square meters, and the number of K2 wild wolves also reached 9. ABA. ABA. A strange voice came, and Wen Yi followed the sound to see a wild man holding a bow and arrow standing on a floating land of 20 square meters in size. When the distance between the two territories was still 20 meters, the wild man bent his bow and drew an arrow, and a swift arrow shot towards Wen Yi. At a critical moment, a wild wolf pounced and blocked the deadly arrow. The wild wolf with an arrow in its body died on the spot, turned back into a card, and cannot be summoned again for 24 hours. With just 1 arrow, a wild wolf fell out. Obviously, this wild man in a bow and arrow state has at least 50 attack power. Wen Yi's heart sank, but there was no expression of fear on his face. He controlled his territory and quickly approached the opponent. After all, only after getting close can the wild wolf launch an attack. Whoosh! Whoosh! As the land approached, the wild man fired 2 arrows again, and 2 wild wolves were instantly killed, transforming them into cards again. Bang! The 2 pieces of land finally met, and 6 wild wolves rushed forward like crazy, while activating the bite skill. .30, .30, a series of numbers floated above the wild man's head, but the blood grid only fell in half, and he threw away the bow and arrow in his hand, drew a large wooden stick from behind, and struck a wild wolf with violence. .33. Wen Yi was quite shocked, and the melee damage of this savage was also not low. Newcomers seek to collect new books. Investment. Voting. Thank you, ORZ. This book has been signed internally and electronically, and the status can be changed within a few minutes. Therefore, investments should be made as soon as possible. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. The Land Without Owners. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The Land Without Owners. Although the combat power of the wild man is good, after killing 2 wild wolves, he himself also died. Not only did he form a bronze card, but he also dropped a treasure chest on the ground. Wen Yi stepped forward and first checked the information of the wild man card. Card name. Wild man or Lengzi card quality. Bronze card star rating. 1 star card bloodline. Double HP 360 physical attack power. 23 attack speed. 1.0 armor. 0 skill. When triggered, both close and far attacks will cause 200% damage to the attack power once. Cooling time of 60 seconds. Description. Good at shooting. Not bad. Wen Yi excitedly threw the card of the wild man Erlengzi onto the ground, and a wild man appeared in front of him. ABA. ABA. Erlengzi waved his arm and called out twice. Wen Yi hesitated slightly before realizing that this was his entry line. The wild man Erlengzi is 9 feet tall, with dark skin and messy hair like a chicken coop. He also has a beard all over his face and is only wearing a tattered animal skin skirt. I just don't know what this bloodline does. The previous wild wolf had a dual bloodline, while this wild man's bloodline had a dual bloodline. Is it related to the basic attributes of the card player? The information in his mind is only about rising stars and quality, not about bloodline. It seems that he can only have the opportunity to inquire about it. Wen Yi pondered slightly and took note of this matter. After observing the wild man for a while, Wen Yi opened the treasure chest on the ground, and a flash of light flashed, causing the item to fall to the ground. After a thorough inventory, you will receive a broken long bow with a physical attack power of 3, 15 broken arrows, and a broken wooden stick with a physical attack power of 10. Wen Yi threw both the old wooden stick and the old long bow to the wild man Erlengzi, and equipped him with 10 old arrows. After all, this is his strongest combat power card. After finishing all of this, when he looked at the only 4 wild wolves left, his heart twitched slightly, and the 5-in-1 panel of everything appeared. Throw in 5 cooled wild wolf cards and then click to synthesize them. 5 bronze wolf cards shattered and turned into a cluster of light, forming a brand new bronze card. Wen Yi quickly clicked on the card information. Card name. Head wolf green noodle card quality. Bronze star rating. 1 star bloodline. Double HP 250 physical attack. 45 armor. 0 attack speed. 1.0 skill. Advanced bite. Deals twice the physical damage and puts the enemy in a bleeding state, losing 15 health points per second for 10 seconds. Cooling time. 60 seconds. Description. With a green face and fangs, skilled in oral skills. The star rating has not changed, the quality has not changed, but the bloodline has become double. This strengthens the bloodline. Wen Yi was slightly stunned, and finally understood the preciousness of the 5-in-1 of everything. This is simply a cheat. Although I don't know what else this 5-in-1 can synthesize, just being able to synthesize cards and weapons is already quite abnormal. Next, Wen Yi put the only 5 pieces of worn-out wolf skin cloak into the synthesis box, and then clicked on the synthesis. After the radiance condensed and shone, a brand new cloak was born. Equipment. Black iron wolf skin cloak HP 200 armor. 3 skill. Wolf skin ointment, the wearer restores 1% of their maximum health per second, a passive skill that still works in combat mode. Description. Made from the skin of a female wolf, it has a certain amount of milk. Not only did the armor improve and increase health, but it also added a passive skill. Wen Yi was overjoyed in his heart. Armor. For every bit of armor you possess, you will receive a 0.5% reduction in damage. The health of the wild man Erlangzi is 360, and when wearing this cloak, it is 560, which can restore 5.6 health points per second. The key is that this skill will also take effect in combat mode, indirectly increasing the battery life. Just give this black iron wolf skin cloak to Erlangzi. Wen Yi thought for a moment and then let the wild man Erlangzi put on the black iron wolf skin cloak. After a burst of light shone, the 9-foot-tall wild man, dressed in a layer of gray and white wolf skin, with a wolf head hat on his head, covered his chicken coop-like hair, and looked much more imposing. Wen Yi looked at the wild man for a moment, nodded in satisfaction, and then counted the food. 80 portions of wild wolf meat and 5 kilograms of salted fish jerky. After some operation, the wild wolf meat consumed 60 portions, and fed 10 portions each to the wild man Erlangzi, the head wolf green noodle, and the 4 wild wolves, adding 1,000 points of satiety each. After arranging everything, Wen Yi set off again, controlling a 90-square-meter territory. Shortly after his journey, a message popped up in the bottom right corner of the transparent screen in front of him. After clicking on it, he found that it was a message from a nearby person. Nearby channels can only accept messages within a radius of 3,000 meters. Forest lost deer. Is someone here? A place without a master has appeared here. Blessed to share, difficult to exit. I am here, send coordinates. Cute face blind. What level is it? I can still make do with brushing the bronze level, but if I wait for the level to get higher, I won't be able to go. Forest lost deer. Bronze level 1, coordinates. 23225422, the entrance is still closed for 10 minutes, the speed of coming. The unowned land of bronze level 1. Wen Yi searched for relevant information in his mind and suddenly realized that this unowned land of bronze level 1 is the lowest level replica in this world. The unowned land can be accessed by anyone before the entrance is closed. The way to enter is to establish a connection between one's own territory and the unowned land, which is formed by the power of the rules of this world. All creatures connected to the unowned land will be considered as a team and cannot attack each other. All loot dropped will have a fixed allocation mechanism. 1. Whoever kills, who owns the dropped items. After all monsters in the unowned land die, they are considered to have cleared the level. After completing the level, the system will split the unowned territory into corresponding proportions based on the proportion of total damage of the team members, and automatically merge with the participant's territory. After pondering for a while, Wen Yi decided to take a chance. After all, the ascension stone required for Keidu's ascension can only be obtained in an unowned land. So, with a sudden thought, he sent out a message. Wen Yi. I'm coming too. Forest lost deer. Come on. Blessed to share, but difficult to quit. I'm here. Upon receiving a response, Wen Yi clicked on the coordinates and the territory began automatic navigation. 5 minutes later, Wen Yi saw the true appearance of the bronze first-rank land without a master. A piece of land, approximately 5 to 600 square meters, is completely covered by a bronze pillar of light. Above the pillar of light, there is also a black door, which is the entrance to the land of no one. Wen Yi looked around and found 3 floating lands, with 1 man and 2 women standing at the edges of the land, probably the 3 people talking on the nearby channel. Newcomers seek to collect new books. Investment. Voting. Thank you, ORZ. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The Great Mushroom Falling from the Sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The Great Mushroom Falling from the Sky is that Wen Yi. I am fortunate to share the same benefits, but it's difficult to retreat. You can call me lucky, the only man shouted at the top of his throat. It's me, Wen Yi responded briefly. Let me introduce myself. I'm a deer in the forest. Since everyone is here, let's enter, said a girl wearing a deer horn helmet. Okay. Everyone charge. The last girl wore a black veil on her face, making it difficult to see her clearly. It was her cute face that was completely blind. She shouted loudly and then leaned towards the unowned land, controlling her territory. The forest lost its deer and Yofu also approached one after another, and Wen Yi was not idle either. When his territory was still 3 meters away from the unowned land, he stopped. Establishing a connection. Wen Yi silently recited in his heart. As soon as the words fell, a ray of light lit up, and the power of world rules intervened. Soon, a white jade-like stone bridge emerged, connecting the two lands together. Wen Yi's eyes flickered, he stepped onto the bridge, and soon climbed onto the deserted land. In front of the pitch-black door, a man and 2 women were silently waiting. Enter. Upon seeing Wen Yi's arrival, Yofu was the first to enter the pitch-black gateway. The forest was enchanted by deer and the cute and blind entered one after another, followed closely by Wen Yi. After passing through the door, Wen Yi only felt a flower in front of him and came to a dense forest. Dark, cold, eerie. This is the most direct feeling for Wen Yi. The dimly lit dense forest can only barely see its surroundings with scattered sunlight. The 3 of them, Yofu and the forest, were all alert at the moment. It was obvious that the environment here also made them feel uncomfortable. Sand and sand, a dense movement came from deep in the forest. Something is coming, summon the card player quickly. With a serious expression, Yofu waved his hand and threw out a bronze card. The light flashed, and a red-haired bear emerged. The bear stood up like a human, slapped its chest with both hands, and let out a roar in the sky. Roar. The forest was lost and the deer moved. After throwing out 2 bronze cards, they transformed into 2 deer that were 1 person tall. The deer's fur was pink, and its unique antlers were a pair of sharp swords. Meng Mian the Blind also summoned 2 monster beasts like huskies, whose fur and hair stood on end like steel needles. Wen Yi didn't procrastinate when he saw the situation, summoning 4 wild wolves together to protect himself steadily behind him. Isn't that right, brother? Are you still using wild wolves? Don't you have any more powerful cards? Yofu asked incredulously when he saw Wen Yi summoning 4 wild wolves. Wen Yi was a bit speechless. He checked the summoning information of the 3 and found that both in terms of HP and attack power, he was indeed 1 head higher than his wild wolf, but he was slightly inferior to his first wolf card, let alone a wild man's idiot. Alright, it must be a newcomer. Let's take him with us, said the forest lost deer in a voice. Here we go. Meng Mian the Blind let out a loud shout, and the 3 of them looked at each other. Not far away, a group of mud-like monsters appeared. Rotting mud monster, welfare monster, there are about 100. Yofu exclaimed excitedly, and the red bear in front of him swooshed and rushed out into the group of rotting mud monsters, killing one with just 2 slaps. Sword elk, charge me. The forest enchanted deer also shouted, and the 2 sword elks half lowered their heads and began to charge. 2 pairs of sharp sword-shaped antlers rushed into the monster group and immediately stirred up mud. This decaying mud monster dropped a resource card, leave some for me. The cute and blind huskies, like wild dogs running wild, also rushed towards the decaying mud monster group. As for Wen Yi, he had already ordered 4 wild wolves to come forward and attack, because he found that the rotting mud monster only had 50 health points and 1 physical attack, which is a reliable experience for the baby. The 9-headed card players were like sheep entering a flock, and in less than a minute, they swept away 100 rotten mud monsters. As a result, Wen Yi gained 20 cards from the rotten mud monsters. As he had heard Meng Mian talking nonsense about this resource card before, he curiously clicked on the card information. Card name. Rotten mud monster type. Resource card quality. Bronze explanation. After use, obtain 100 kilograms of clay. After mixing clay with stones and sand in proportion, it has strong hardness and adhesion. It can be used for infrastructure and construction. For the construction of buildings. Concrete. Wen Yi suddenly realized that his territory was still barren, and he was sure to build houses in the future, so this sticky mud would be of great use. Good harvest, 28 pieces. With a smug look up, the two girls responded with a cold snort. His red-haired bear was a bit fierce and looked clumsy, but its attack speed was 2.0, 2 regular attacks per second. With high attack speed, this guy would kill one rotten mud monster every second. Otherwise, if others acted quickly, all 100 rotten mud monsters would have been beaten to death by this red-haired bear. Rest in place for 3 minutes, wait for the card player's health to automatically return to full, said the forest enchanted deer like a team captain. Of course, the others have no objections. After all, the card player with full health can better cope with the upcoming battle. 3 minutes were coming quickly, and the 4 of them led their respective captains to continue moving forward. Just as they walked not far, strange screams came into their ears. Squeezing. 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 The piercing and dense sound made Wen Yi's eyebrows furrow uncontrollably. Dong. A dull sound rang out. Dong. 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 The dull sound grew louder and louder, and then the 4 of them found themselves surrounded by a group of monsters that looked like mushrooms. Mushroom Kid, drop food cards. Yofu became excited again and couldn't help but say, did we have good luck today? First, we had resource cards, then food cards. This unowned land is really a treasure. I'm afraid it's not that simple. There are at least 200 mushroom dolls, and there may be an elite monster behind them. The forest's expression of enchanted deer was somewhat solemn. Let's get rid of them first, battle quickly. Mengmian Dazai finished speaking, then threw out 2 bronze cards again, transforming into 2 spiked huskies, totaling 4 with the previous 2, and rushed towards the mushroom dolls on the periphery together. After the cute and blind attack, Yofu and the forest deer also took action one after another. Wen Yi checked the attributes of the mushroom doll and found that it was the same as the previous rotten mud monster, so he also commanded 4 wild wolves to charge forward. 11 demon beasts, K2, rushed into the group of mushroom dolls, and suddenly many crimson numbers floated above. 0.30, 0.15, 0.28, 0.28, without much effort, a bronze card fell from the ground. Those cards seemed to have intelligence and flew into the 4 persons' card bags, automatically allocated according to the rules of whoever killed them. Just as the 4 of them killed half of the mushroom baby, an even louder howl sounded. Cheek, whoa. The 4 of them looked up one after another and saw a pink mushroom, which was 1 foot high, descending from the sky. The place where the 4 wild wolves landed was exactly where they were. Seeking collection, seeking votes, seeking investment, seeking comments, seeking everything, end of this chapter. Chapter 5. Elite. Mushroom Dad. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Elite Mushroom Dad, Dong. 0.30, 0.30, 0.30, Group Skills. This big mushroom just landed on the ground with a single blow, and Wen Yi's 4 wild wolves were instantly bleeding. Sleeping Trough, this is Mushroom Dad, elite monster. Yofu exclaimed in surprise, and the 2 girls' faces also became somewhat solemn. Bite. Wen Yi felt uneasy at the sight and quickly instructed the 4 wild wolves to use their skills, but only knocked out 114 drops of blood from Mushroom Dad. Obviously, Mushroom Dad had armor attributes. At this moment, 4 golden words floated above Mushroom Dad's head. Whirlwind Top. Another AoE skill. Mushroom Dad spun like a top, with Wen Yi's 4-headed wild wolves bearing the brunt. 0.50, 0.50, 0.50, a series of numbers floated up, and 4 wild wolves rushed to the underworld together, transforming into 4 cards and flying back to Wen Yi's side. His face turned a bit dark. This mushroom father is a bit fierce, but why is he specifically watching my wild wolf kill? Brother, don't be fooled, do you still have any cards? Summon quickly, this elite mushroom dad has 1000 health. Yofu quickly reminded him, and without hesitation, Wen Yi summoned Wolf Green Face and Wild Man Erlengzi together. ABA. ABA. Erlengzi waved his bow and arrow and joined the battle. He bent his bow and arched, aiming for the rampant mushroom dad. 31.31 Brother, you are a good savage. Your bloodline has reached double strength, Yofu said in a voice. I only have 10 arrows in total, and I can take out a maximum of 310 drops of blood. The next step is to rely on hand-to-hand combat, Wen Yi explained. Clean up the little monsters first, stay away from this mushroom dad. After the monsters are cleared, we will gather fire to attack mushroom dad. Senmaimi shouted loudly, controlling her two-sword deer to kill towards the periphery and dodge the attacking mushroom dad. Ahem, 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 with an emotional howl, Head Wolf Blue Face rushed into the group of mushroom babies and quickly killed the little monster with the efficiency of 2 bites and 1 child. The lucky red-haired bear hid far away when Mushroom Dad appeared, but the cute and blind Spike Husky was not so lucky. After Wen Yi's wild wolf died, the 4-pointed husky became Mushroom Dad's target. You. Mengmian Dazai felt a little angry, but had no choice but to abandon the 2-pointed huskies before escaping. However, the 2-pointed huskies that had escaped from the range of Mushroom Dad's attack were only left with 1 blood skin. Decades later, the last mushroom doll was finally killed, and the mushroom father in the field also stopped spinning. After losing its target, it turned its head to look at the wild man Erlengzi. Isn't that right? Wen Yi's heart sank, and he looked around to find the other 3 people, each controlling their own Kato and Mushroom Dad at a certain distance, clearly not intending to attract firepower. Dog teammate. Wen Yi cursed inwardly and ordered the wild man Erlengzi to launch an attack with a big stick. After all, they had already been locked by the Mushroom Dad. It was better to confront them hard than to evade. The empty block that attracted firepower can also create stable attack conditions for others. Bang! Erlengzi swung a stick. 0.31. Exciting. Mushroom Dad bit Erlengzi's shoulder and started a string of bloodstains. 0.29. +5. Looking at the number above Erlengzi's head, Wen Yi breathed a slight sigh of relief. As long as Mushroom Dad didn't use his skills, Erlengzi still had a chance to kill it. At the time when the 2 exchanged the card players of the other 3 also launched attacks from behind. In a 6-on-1 situation, even for Mushroom Dad with 5 points of armor, his health is still visibly decreasing. After 7 or 8 seconds, Mushroom Dad only has 1 health skin left. Sharp assault. Cute-faced, blind and coquettish let out a shout, and the light on the 2 Hutchists' bodies flashed, indicating that they had activated their skills. Sword go. The forest even shouted as the deer got lost. The antlers of the 2 sword deer shot fiercely together, transforming into 4 long swords and heading straight towards Mushroom Dad. Slash the ground. Yofu was also not idle, accompanied by his roar. The red-haired bear jumped up high, and its 2 terrifying claws patted the back of Mushroom Dad. Wen Yi. Snatching and killing. I've been guarding against your move for a long time. The wild man's 2 Lengzis, Strive, and the wolf's blue faces, Advanced Bite, are launched simultaneously. Under the joint attack of 4 people, Mushroom Dad's body fell to the ground with a loud bang. Wen Yi killed the elite monster Mushroom Dad. The uncharted land has been cleared and will automatically teleport in 10 seconds. The loot will be sent to the territory's treasure chest later. After the grand system prompt sound came on for a while, the figures of Wen Yi and the other 4 disappeared into place at the same time. After Wen Yi regained his sight, he found that he had returned to his territory. The beam of light that enveloped the land of no one dissipated leisurely, and then came a rumbling sound, clearly indicating that the power of world rules was dividing the territory. Bang! A 170 square meter floating land collided with Wen Yi's territory, and then a dazzling light lit up, combining the two into one. At this point, the total area of Wen Yi's territory has reached 260 square meters. After the fusion of territories, Wen Yi did not hesitate and drove away rapidly. As human hearts are unpredictable. 10 minutes later, Wen Yi controlled the territory to stop. At this point, he had already run more than 10 miles away. He looked at a treasure chest in the center of the territory, with an excited expression on his face, and began counting the spoils of war. 20 slime monster resource cards. 53 mushroom baby food cards. Card name. Mushroom baby card quality. Bronze explanation. After use, obtain 10 portions of mushroom meat. Each portion can restore 100 satiety points, an elite mushroom dad card. Card name. Elite mushroom dad card quality. Bronze star rating. 3 stars bloodline. Double HP 1000 physical attack. 25 attack speed. 1.0 armor. 5 skill. Descending from the sky, Mushroom Dad jumps into the sky and smashes towards the ground, dealing 1.25 times physical attack damage within a range of 5 meters. Cooling time. 60 seconds. A whirlwind gyroscope. Mushroom Dad rotates like a gyroscope, dealing twice the physical damage to close enemies for 10 seconds. Cooling time. 120 seconds. Description. Spin and jump. I close my eyes. A piece of equipment called Black Iron Dad Hat. Equipment. Black Iron Dad Hat. HP 500 armor. 5 skill. Father's Love Light. Passive skill. For each attack, the armor value increases by 1 for 5 seconds, with a maximum stack of 10 layers. Description. Wearing it feels warm like a father's palm. Ascending Star Stone * 2. Wen Yi also received 232 gold coins. Plus the gold coins he obtained from killing wild wolves and savages before, a total of 345 coins. Gold coins are a floating world currency that can be purchased in some neutral immovable cities. A neutral immovable city, similar to a town in a game, with fixed coordinates on the sea. For example, the target that Wen Yi plans to go to. Hongzhou Town. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Blocked the Sea. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Blocked the Sea. Wen Yi, who has been promoted to level 4, has reached 400 health and 12 attack points. Although it is not much, it is much stronger than the scum who attacked 0 before. After organizing all the spoils of war, Wen Yi silently recited the map 3 times in his heart, and a semi-transparent map emerged. He looked at the location of Hongzhou Town and did not use automatic navigation. Instead, he identified the direction and controlled his territory to move forward. On the way to Hongzhou Town, Wen Yi killed while walking, and his territory rapidly expanded to 420 square meters. At the same time, he obtained 4 Wild Man cards and 16 Wild Wolf cards. He plans to strengthen his existing cards once again. His card pack contains 4 Cooling Wild Wolf cards, along with a total of 20 Wild Wolf cards from the 16 he just obtained. After combining 5 and 5, he obtained 4 Head Wolf cards. After checking the information of the 4 Wolf Head cards and confirming that there were no special cards, Wen Yi merged with Wolf Head Green Face once again. A dazzling light flashed by, prompting messages to appear. You have obtained a Wolf King Green Noodle. Does the wolf turn into the Wolf King? Wen Yi was overjoyed and quickly clicked on the card information. Card name. Wolf King Green Noodle card quality. Bronze star rating. 1 star bloodline. Triple HP 1250 physical attack. 135 attack speed. 1.0 armor. 0 skill. Top level bite. Deals 3 times the physical damage of the attack and puts the enemy in a bleeding state, losing 45 health points per second for 10 seconds. Cooling time: 60 seconds. Description: with a green face and fangs, skilled in oral skills. The health has increased by 5 times, the attack power has increased by 3 times, and even the skill attributes have been improved. The 5-in-1 of all things is truly a divine skill. Wen Yi laughed wildly. If there had been this Wolf King before, he might have been able to sweep the first level of the Bronze Lord's land alone. Let's see what kind of changes will happen when the 5 Wild Man cards are combined. Wen Yi suppressed his excitement and placed the 5 Wild Man cards in the item box of 5-in-1 everything. Quickly, the light flashed by, and the prompt message floated up. You have obtained a Wild Man Leader or Lengzi card. The leader of the Wild Man. It's not ordinary to hear his name. Wen Yi, speaking to himself, clicked on the card information. Card name: Wild Man Leader or Lengzi. Card quality: Bronze. Card star rating: 1 star. Bloodline: triple HP, 1800 physical attack power, 69 attack speed, 1.0 armor, 0 skill. After triggering, double-click with effort, strike the enemy twice with a stick, dealing 3 times more damage each time. Cooling time of 60 seconds. Description: a little expert in playing baseball. Sure enough, HP has doubled 5 times and attack power has tripled. Does this 5-in-1 have a synthesis limit? If I have enough Wild Wolf cards, wouldn't it be possible to synthesize a high-level bloodline card? Wen Yi was somewhat puzzled. I'm afraid there will be synthetic limitations, otherwise I won't be invincible in the world for long. Wen Yi came up with a result, and as for where the limit lies, he will slowly experiment in the future. Wen Yi once again took out 5 old wooden sticks, which he had obtained from killing the savage before. These 5 old wooden sticks only had 10 attack points and no skills. After putting 5 old wooden sticks into the 5-in-1 of all things, Wen Yi clicked to synthesize them. You have obtained a Black Iron Wolf Tooth Stick. Wen Yi's gaze twitched slightly as he opened the panel. Weapon: Black Iron Wolf Tooth Stick. Physical attack: 30 skill. None. Description: a prickly stick. It's just that the attack power has increased and no skills have appeared, Wen Yi murmured before putting in 5 more worn long bows. You have obtained a Black Iron Long Bow. Weapon: Black Iron Long Bow. Physical attack: 9 skill. None. Description: can be used. There are no skills available, and the attack power is much lower than that of the Black Iron Wolf Tooth Stick. However, with 5 worn-out arrows, it can still be used, at least causing some damage to the enemy before melee, Wen Yi thought to himself. After some sorting, Wen Yi equipped the Black Iron Wolf Tooth Stick, Black Iron Long Bow, and the remaining 5 worn arrows to the Wild Man Leader or Lengzi. After all, Lengzi was clearly a card player with warrior attributes. As for the Black Iron Dad hat and Black Iron Wolf Skin Cloak, both are equipped with the elite Mushroom Dad, as Mushroom Dad's skills are AoE damage and have a low upper limit. With the blessing of 2 pieces of equipment, the health of the elite Mushroom Dad reached 1700, although not as high as that of the Wild Leader or Lengzi. Fortunately, he has 5 points of armor, and with the armor attached to the 2 pieces of equipment, he has 13 points of armor, which means he can avoid damage by 6.5%. The health is not low, and there is a 6.5 damage free rate, which can be considered a qualified front row player. Moreover, there is the passive skill of Black Iron Dad hat, which can increase some armor with 1 attack. The card of Wolf King Green Noodle is used by Wen Yi as a base card. After all, this wolf's attack power is 135 points, and releasing Top Bite can deal 405 points of damage. The 10-second bleeding state deals a total of 450 damage points. 9 attacks deal 12-15 damage. That is to say, within 10 seconds, Wolf King Greenface can deal a total of 2070 points of damage. With 2070 damage points and 0 armor, you can kill 2 elite Mushroom Fathers. After packing everything up, Wen Yi focused on his journey and planned to enter Hongzhou town before dark. As the sunset fell, Wen Yi finally saw Hongzhou town from a distance and couldn't help but murmur. Hongzhou town, I'm here halfway through. His expression became somewhat frozen. What is the situation with this special code? I saw at least thousands of pieces of land, big and small, floating on the sea surface at this moment. These floating lands surrounded Hongzhou town, making it difficult to swim alone, not to mention the outer floating lands that couldn't squeeze in. Is this blocking the sea? Wen Yi rubbed his slightly tingled face with both hands, his tone revealing disbelief. This is outrageous. This is far from the big picture. Wen Yi, who has been a person of 2 generations, has heard of traffic jams, bridges, toilets, and even clouds, but the situation of this sea blockage is truly the only one he has ever seen in his life. It's not surprising that Wen Yi is confused. The key is that there are too many lords in this world. Hongzhou town has a square terrain, covering only over 900 hectares, with a coastline of approximately 12,000 meters, and can connect up to 3,000 territories simultaneously. If Hongzhou town is seen as a port, then the territories connecting Hongzhou town are ships. No matter how big the port is and how long the coastline is, it can't accommodate many ships. So those territories that could not be connected to Hongzhou town were surrounded by 3 layers inside, 3 layers in the middle, and 3 layers outside. After wandering around the outskirts of Hongzhou town for a week, Wen Yi finally confirmed the fact that it was completely blocked. Helplessly, he opened the nearby channel and found that the information had already exploded. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Double-Winged Fire Spirit Python. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Double-Winged Fire Spirit Python. Unrestrained Prodigal Son. Why are there so many people in Hongzhou town? I can't even squeeze in. Zibing Rushuang. Hi, don't mention it. Hongzhou town is a beginner's village. It's like this every day here, and I've been queuing on the sea for 3 days. Harry Potter, don't be too big. Which big brother is good enough to give me some food? I've been stuck with half of my waist and running out of food for several days. Handsome to insomnia. Why is it so difficult to enter a novice village? Xia Fei. Do you have anyone who wants a number? 1678th place, only 2 bronze cards are needed, small window for you. 1,000 miles without leaving a trace. Nima, do you also need to draw a lottery when entering a city? Anonymous. I am a snake woman. Food with 30,000 satiety can cover the night, but with a small knife. I need a taxi, buddy. Little window drip me. Long outyin. Asterisk external asterisk hanging asterisk flying asterisk hanging asterisk extreme asterisk speed asterisk ascending asterisk star asterisk hanging, obtaining asterisk yellow asterisk gold asterisk card in 1 asterisk day asterisk is not a dream, little window Didi, with guaranteed quality. Pudong Rooster. The fat immortal family is recruiting. Friends who want to join the family, hurry up. The quota is limited, first come, first served. Don't panic and take some medicine. Report Long Outyen, he is a fraud. Trapped me 2 bronze cards, woo 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 Aoi grassland. Do you also believe in cheats? Air slippers. There are too many scammers, obviously not enough fools. After not receiving any useful information, Wen Yi closed the nearby messages. Just as he was pondering whether to leave or continue waiting, a sharp hissing sounded. Hiss, the sound echoed through the sea, and everyone looked up one after another. They saw a red python, several tens of zhang long, waving a pair of wide wings and flying rapidly towards the direction of Hongzhou town. Double-winged fire spirit python. One person exclaimed in shock. Whose card player is this? Such grandeur, how much bloodline power should there be? Who else can it be? The only one in the entire Dead Sea with the twin-winged fire spirit python is Wei Xingqian. Wei Xingqian. The young master of Tianji Pavilion, Wei Xingqian. It is said that the quality of this fire spirit python has reached the golden level, and the power of its bloodline has reached an astonishing six-fold sky. My heavens, the six heavens. Isn't it second only to the bloodline of dragons? Everyone was discussing, and Wen Yi listened attentively, receiving a lot of useful news. The power of bloodline. He looked at the majestic and ferocious two-winged fire spirit python and couldn't help but mutter to himself. What's wrong, little brother? Aren't you very envious? Suddenly, a voice of vicissitude sounded. Wen Yi turned his head and looked around. At some point, a piece of land with an area of several hundred square meters approached him. At the edge of the land stood an old man with a face full of vicissitudes, and the person speaking was the old man. I'm really envious, Wen Yi answered from the bottom of his heart. He wanted to check the information about the twin-winged fire spirit python, but found that all the data was a series of question marks. The power of the six heavens bloodline and the quality of gold, no matter what, are all aspects that we envy and cannot envy, the old man said sincerely. Sir, how is the power of bloodline divided? Wen Yi picked up the plane and asked a question. It seems that I haven't entered Hongzhou town yet, the old man smiled slightly, and Wen Yi couldn't deny it. Don't worry, little brother. I don't have any malicious intent, so it's easy to determine if you're a beginner. The old man explained and continued, Hongzhou town is a well-known beginner village. As long as you enter Hongzhou town, you will receive a bloodline guidebook issued by the Tianji Pavilion. Bloodline Atlas. Wen Yi hesitated slightly. That's right, the Bloodline Atlas is a must-have manual for every beginner, containing tens of thousands of types of monster beasts. It not only displays images, but also provides information on various monster beasts, the old man said with a smile. These pieces of information include three aspects: quality, star rating, and bloodline power. What exactly does this bloodline power represent? Wen Yi asked again. Young man, you should know that the star rating and quality of any card can be continuously upgraded and advanced, but the power of this bloodline is different. It has been completely fixed since the card was born and almost unchangeable the day after tomorrow. The old man continued as he stroked his gray beard. The power of bloodline is divided into 9 levels, with the lowest level being the first level, such as the stinging caterpillar, mushroom doll, and wild wolf, which are all the power of bloodline in this level. The highest level is the 9th level, and it is said that the creatures with bloodline power reaching the 9th level are legendary creatures that no one has ever seen. The legendary creature. Wen Yi turned his head again to express his doubts. Dragon. The old man only said one word, his gaze becoming somewhat ethereal as he gazed at the sky. Dragon. Is there a dragon in this world? Wen Yi looked incredulous. Perhaps there is, perhaps not, at least I have never seen it before. The old man replied vaguely, then continued as if recalling something. It is said that from the power of blood, above the python is a dragon, above the dragon is a horned dragon, and above the horned dragon is a winged dragon. Isn't it true that the bloodline power of this winged fire spirit python is very high? Wen Yi asked softly. Not just high. Within the scope of this desolate sea, the bloodline power of 6 heavens is already top-notch. The old man's words surprised Wen Yi greatly. Seer, the two-winged fire spirit python let out another roar, and its body covered in red scales suddenly ignited a blazing fire. From a distance, it looked like a dragon flying in the fire. Not good. Step back quickly, these two-winged fire spirit python are about to launch an attack. The old man's face changed greatly upon hearing the sound, and he quickly controlled his territory to escape outward. That's right, he just escaped. Wen Yi was unaware of the situation, but he sensed a huge crisis and without hesitation controlled the territory to follow the old man's footsteps. Just as he had run a few hundred meters, a shocking heat wave hit from behind. He suddenly turned his head and his face turned pale. I saw a flame stretching several tens of zhang spewing out from the mouth of the winged fire spirit python, targeting the territories of all sizes on the sea surface. Wherever the flames pass, the territory is covered in scorched earth, with screams, shouts, and curses coming together, accompanied by the constant sound of ding. Ding, which is the sound of cards and items falling after the Lord's death. This is a real gaming world, and once you die, it represents eternal silence. Help me. My body. This winged fire spirit python is going crazy. Ah ah, the mournful cries kept rising one after another, and the just lively sea suddenly turned into a human purgatory. The two winged fire spirit python flew towards the mouth of the sea, spitting flames. Wherever it passed, a series of blood-colored numbers floated up, with the smallest being .300 and the largest being .3500. No one, whether it's a lord or a card player, can survive in the flames for more than a second. After more than 10 breaths, the two-winged fire spirit python finally restrained its breathing, as it flew to the near shore of Red Candle Town. At this point, from the outskirts of Hongzhou Town to the coast, on the sea surface several meters wide, no lord survived, only fragments of scorched earth and shining cards remained seeking votes, pursuing reading, seeking everything. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Just open the way. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Just open the way. This is not the problem with the twin-winged fire spirit python, it's clearly that Wei Xingqian is going crazy again. There are thousands of lords on this sea, how dare he? How dare he dare not? His powerful strength is there. All of us combined may not be enough for this twin-winged fire spirit python to kill. Doesn't anyone care about him? Aren't you afraid of being punished by heaven? Heavenly punishment. That's all the expectations and sustenance of the weak. Wen Yi, who had escaped a disaster, looked at the boiling sea with lingering fear. If he hesitated for a moment just now, he might have become one of the dead lords. Does this leave no one to care about? Putting aside those bandits, those lords are all living beings. Wen Yi leaned in front of the old man again and asked somewhat puzzled. Who will manage? Who dares to manage? Not to mention his strength, do you know who the father of Wei Xingqian is? The old man's face was also extremely ugly at the moment, with a lot of helplessness in his tone. Who is it? With a lot of background. Wen Yi's heart twitched slightly. Wei Xingqian's father is the owner of the Tianji Pavilion, the old man replied in a deep voice. Tianji Pavilion. The Tianji Pavilion, which governs all neutral cities in the Dead Sea. Is Wei Xingqian's father the lord of the pavilion? This doesn't even have a background anymore, it's clear that the background is overwhelming. In theory, as the son of the owner of the Tianji Pavilion, he should have everything he needs, right? What is his purpose for killing people with a python? Wen Yi's eyes revealed deep confusion. It's just a way out. The old man's words once again surprised Wen Yi. Look, he's here. The old man spoke again, and Wen Yi looked up. He saw a floating city that could not be seen at all, slowly rushing towards the direction of Hongzhou Town. Is this the territory of Wei Xingqian? Oh my God! This territory is too big, isn't it? It's out of sight. This is clearly a mobile city. The moving city is getting closer and closer in everyone's amazement. Inside the cold and thick city walls, tall buildings stand tall, pavilions are scattered, and people are bustling and bustling. Various cries of selling, collisions, and the roaring of birds and beasts were incessant, mixed with a strong atmosphere of the mortal world. At this moment, Wen Yi was shocked. He had no idea that a person's territory could be so vast and majestic that it was not an exaggeration to call it a city. After some observation, Wen Yi found that next to the giant city, there was also a territory several hundred square meters in size, with a man and a woman standing on the edge of that territory. A man dressed in white stood with his hands on his back, his appearance considered handsome, his white face unnecessary, and his eyes revealing a rebellious and unruly demeanor. The man is Wei Xingqian. The old man squinted his eyes and gestured with his chin. Wen Yi nodded lightly, his eyes a bit cold. Wei Xingqian instructed the twin-winged fire spirit python to slaughter at least 10 lords just to enter Hongzhou town. If it weren't for running fast, he would have died. Wen Yi holds a deep grudge. In his opinion, although he has escaped a calamity, the actions of Wei Xingqian are no different from attempted murder. At this moment, he must not be a match for Wei Xingqian, but it does not prevent him from taking note first and then slowly settling accounts when he has the opportunity. With the only skill. Wen Yi, who possesses the 5-in-1 of all things, there is infinite possibility in the future. Who is that woman? Wen Yi asked softly, but his eyes couldn't help but look at the woman next to Wei Xingqian. The woman didn't hide any personal information, her level was level 9, and her name was Qin Xingnan. Qin Xingnan dressed in strong black clothes and had a moderate appearance. His eyebrows were full of heroic energy, with a hint of neutral beauty, forming a sharp contrast with the slightly gloomy Wei Xingqian beside him. As soon as Wen Yi finished speaking, before the old man could speak, the voices of discussion on the side answered his question. That woman is Qin Xingnan. Qin Xingnan. I haven't heard of it before, it's only level 9. How could a woman at level 9, Ida, stand shoulder to shoulder with Wei Xingqian? Is it difficult or not, and what kind of background can it have? You are really ignorant. Although Qin Xingnan is only a newcomer at level 9, he has already gained a reputation outside. Oh. Is there anything special about her? You should all know that everyone who enters this world has a chance to draw skills, right? Of course I know that. The skill I drew was a regular skill called Tree Cutting Boost. With this passive skill, I can chop trees twice as fast as a normal person. Alas, brother, your tree cutting amplification is still useful, but what I drew was rubbing fingers to make a fire. What ghost skill is rubbing fingers to make fire? It's like rubbing my 2 fingers 200 times can produce a small flame, which is so small that I can't even bake an egg well. Off topic. Brother, continue talking about Qin Xingnan. Is it difficult for her to draw advanced skills? That's right, she drew one of the 10,000 advanced skills. What skill? Don't be so narrow-minded, speak up. Card bloodline recast. Blood recasting. Isn't the blood of a card innate? It's impossible to change it in the future. Generally speaking, the bloodline of a card cannot be changed, but this advanced skill, card bloodline recasting, is an exception. As long as there are enough coins and materials, the bloodline of a card can be recast, and only higher level bloodlines will be generated, or the original bloodline will remain unchanged. Oh my goodness, no wonder Wei Xingqian personally guards Qin Xingnan. If we were to recast that twin-winged fire spirit python, wouldn't it be possible to turn it into a twin-winged fire spirit dragon, or even a twin-winged fire spirit dragon? It is indeed possible, but it is also possible to maintain the original bloodline unchanged, and this card bloodline recasting can only be used 3 times on the same card. 3 times. That's also terrifying. Wen Yi listened to everyone's discussion and finally understood Qin Xingnan's uniqueness. This, card bloodline recasting, is truly one of the 10,000 advanced skills, which can improve or maintain the bloodline power of cards. However, it is still much worse than his 5-in-1 skill when everyone was discussing, on the already congested sea, with the arrival of Wei Xingqian, several kilometers of wide passage had already been cleared. The scene of the twin-winged fire spirit python killing people like grass had already made everyone present tremble with fear. After all, most of the people who came outside this red candle town were beginners. Wei Xingqian's territory is like a moving city, slowly drifting by. The territory that was previously slaughtered by the twin-winged fire spirit python drifts towards his territory one after another like a shooting star, and after shining with the light, it blends into one. These dozens of territories are probably thousands of square meters, Wen Yi said with some emotion. He worked tirelessly for half a day, and now the territory is only 420 square meters. However, they only summoned a two-winged fire spirit python and casually spat out the fire, reaping thousands of square meters of territory. The contract has been submitted, and after the editor responds, the signature will change the status. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Sky Market. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Sky Market. At his level, the thousands of square meters of territory are no longer valued by Wei Xingqian. He didn't even bother to pick up the cards that were dropped after the Lord's death. The old man said softly, with an expression on his face that was neither jealous nor envious, but rather a sense of resignation after understanding the huge gap between the two sides. As soon as the old man finished speaking, Wei Xingqian waved with a face-like gesture. The hundreds of cards turned into streams of light and gathered towards him. In the end, the light of the cards faded away and stacked into a thick stack in his hand. Wei Xingqian smiled slightly and handed them to Qin Shengnan beside him. Miss Qin has just arrived in this world, so let's treat these things as my young master's greeting gift. No, this is too expensive. Qin Shengnan refused. Although she had just arrived in this world, she was also aware of the quality of the cards. Among the thick stack of cards, although bronze quality accounted for the majority, there were still 2 or 3 silver quality cards. The lowest quality of a card is bronze, with silver above it and gold above it. For characters like Wei Xingqian, bronze and silver quality cards are simply not attractive. Even gold quality cards cannot arouse their interest if their bloodline power is too low. What? Miss Qin, do you think this gift is too light? Wei Xingqian's smile did not diminish, but his eyes were slightly cold, as if he had never heard what Qin Shengnan had just said. The young master spoke too seriously, but Shengnan just felt that this gift was too valuable, Qin Shengnan said in a light tone. The expression on his face did not change much, but there was a slight regret in his heart. She hasn't been in this world for a long time, but she has long understood the rules of this world. The strong are respected. So when she drew the advanced skill of card bloodline recasting, her first idea was to use this huge advantage to quickly make herself bigger and stronger. It was precisely because of the idea of quickly becoming stronger that Qin Shengnan released the news that he had drawn the card bloodline recasting skill. After all, the use of this skill requires a large amount of gold coins and rare materials, and it is not realistic for a beginner to secretly develop on his own. Quickly, Satellite Chen found the door and promised Qin Shengnan that within 3 years, Tianji Pavilion would provide her with all the resources she needed and help her grow rapidly. The only thing Qin Shengnan wanted in return was to allow Tianji Pavilion to dispatch her and not provide card bloodline recasting for outsiders or other forces during these 3 years. At the beginning of the treaty with Tianji Pavilion, Qin Shengnan did not feel it was inappropriate, it was just an exchange of interests. But on the way to Hongzhou town with Wei Xingqian, she found that the young master had been too cruel and killed. In addition, the scene of the twin-winged fire spirit python burning the novice lords before gave her a feeling of scheming with a tiger. Miss Qin, do you have any other thoughts? Wei Xingqian's lips slightly raised, but his tone became cold. Noticing the change in the tone of the satellite city, Qin Shengnan was suddenly startled. Then, as if he understood, he smiled at Wei Xingqian and said, how could Shengnan have any other thoughts? Since the young master's affection is hard to resist, the little woman accepted these cards. After Qin Shengnan finished speaking, he took over the thick stack of cards, with a smile on his face that did not diminish. However, his heart was still like a sea of blood in hell, because each card represented a lost life. Qin Shengnan has climbed to the sky with one step. There must be at least 100 cards in that pile, and I think there are also silver quality cards, a novice lord envied. What are these cards? If we get close to Tianji Pavilion, will we still lack such things? I seem to have seen the rapid rise of Qin Xingnan. Under the gaze of everyone, Wei Xingqian's territory finally landed in Hongzhou town. Wen Yi squinted his eyes and noticed that Wei Xingqian's territory was actually one circle larger than the entire Hongzhou town. Quickly, take advantage of this gap to enter Hongzhou town. The old man reminded and controlled his territory to approach Hongzhou town first. At this moment, due to the satellite, there is still a wide passage left in the sea. Upon hearing this, Wen Yi suddenly woke up and quickly followed. After a rapid overtaking, he finally docked at Red Candle City. After establishing a connection between his territory and Hongzhou town, Wen Yi stepped onto the land of Hongzhou town. With the power of world rules, no one could attack or land on his territory, otherwise it would be a confrontation with the whole world. Therefore, Wen Yi walked with peace of mind after passing through the magnificent city gate. Wen Yi bid farewell to the old man. He looked at the bustling streets and listened to the shouts, as if he was in an ancient city. Wen Yi followed a sign reading, "New Finger Guide," and arrived at a remote corner. An elderly man with white beard sat on a chair, talking to a young girl in front of him. As for the girl, there were dozens of people waiting in line behind her. Wen Yi stood at the end of the queue and looked up behind the old man. There was a plaque hanging, which read, "The starting point for beginners." Looking at the word, starting point, Wen Yi's thoughts were stirred up, as if he had returned to the night when he sat in front of the computer coding words. Unfortunately, after a dream of yellow sorghum, he came to this world after a long time. Wen Yi shook his head slightly, dispelling the chaotic emotions, and his eyes gradually became firm. Take it as it comes, not only be safe, but also good and strong. Wen Yi waited in line for a long time, until it was all dark and the lights in Hongzhou town were on, and then it was his turn. "Old man, I'm here to collect the bloodline atlas," Wen Yi said first. The old man raised his head slightly and glanced at Wen Yi with his turbid eyes. He then extended a thin palm and gently waved it in the void, revealing a thick, brick-like book. Wen Yi was not surprised to see the scene of retrieving objects from the void. What surprised him was the 3 golden characters on the old man's chest. Tianji Pavilion. Is this old man also affiliated with the Tianji Pavilion? Wen Yi's heart was moved, and then he felt relieved. All the neutral cities in the Sea of Duji belong to the Tianji Pavilion. As a novice guide, there seems to be nothing to be alarmed about, belonging to the Tianji Pavilion. You keep this bloodline atlas. Do you want to apply for membership in the Sky Market? The old man's face forced out a forced smile. After putting away the bloodline atlas, Wen Yi hesitated slightly and said, "What is the Sky Market?" The Sky Market is an online trading market where, as long as you apply for membership, you can purchase or sell items even if you are not in a neutral city, explained the old man. Sky Market. Isn't this just an online trading system? When he understood, no wonder he hadn't found the trading system on the interface. It turned out he was waiting here. Is it just that the power of Tianji Pavilion is so great? Can you even control the online trading system? Or is there another hidden truth? Give me a ticket, gentlemen. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Pulling people to cut a knife. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Pulling people to cut a knife. Wen Yi took note of this matter in his heart and planned to inquire about some relevant information in the future. How is it charged? Wen Yi asked. If you only buy things and don't sell them, you'll receive 300 gold coins per month, but for the annual package, you'll only receive 3,000 coins, the old man said with a smile. What if I want to both sell and buy things? Wen Yi asked again. If you are selling something, you need to pay a deposit of 10,000 gold coins, and for each successfully sold item, Tianji Pavilion will charge a transaction fee of 10% of the transaction amount, which will be borne by the seller. The old man's tone was somewhat impatient. A deposit of 10,000 gold coins. Why not go grab it? Do you still charge a 10% transaction fee for selling things? What a special. This is too dark. Wen Yi's inner activity did not show, but his face couldn't help but tremble. He forced out a smile and said, "I'll come back later." After finishing, he had to turn around and leave. "Wait," the old man called out to Wen Yi. Wen Yi turned around somewhat puzzled and said, "What else is there for the elderly? Are you feeling shy, little brother?" The old man seemed to have seen through Wen Yi's heart. "Indeed," Wen Yi admitted, feeling very single. "It doesn't matter if we don't have money. Our Tianji pavilion also has a lending business, with a daily interest rate of only 5% for 10,000 gold coins. The more we borrow, the more interest we earn." The old man spoke incessantly and eloquently. Upon hearing the loan, Wen Yi was momentarily stunned. When he heard the daily interest rate of 5%, his face suddenly turned black. He turned around and walked away in a neat and crisp posture. "Don't leave, little brother. If you don't take out a loan, you will have to join the alliance after level 20, right? There are many alliances that have entrusted me with recruiting. As long as you join after level 20, you can receive 100 coins." The old man's voice came from afar. Mad. It turns out that every world is cannibalistic. Wen Yi, who had walked far away, finally couldn't help but curse. After calming his mood for a while, Wen Yi began to stroll around Hongzhou town. Although he only had 503 gold coins in his pocket, he still decided to go to the card store that specializes in cards and see them 15 minutes later, when he walked into a shop called Cardo Duo. As soon as he entered, a pretty-looking but cool-dressed girl greeted him. "Welcome to Kajuoduo. What type of cards do you want to buy, young master?" The girl's voice was clear and pleasant, with a faint fragrance on Wen Yi's face. "Do you have any craftsman cards?" Wen Yi asked calmly. "Are you talking about special effects cards?" "Yes. Linger is going to get your card book now." The girl raised her hand and pointed to a wooden chair in the room, gesturing to Wen Yi before turning and walking towards a shelf. Wen Yi did not take his seat, but looked at the environment inside the store. The store area was not very large, only 70.80 square meters, with neat shelves placed under each of the 3 walls. On the shelves were not cards, but thick picture books. After a while, the girl named Linger handed a thick card book to Wen Yi. This card book contains all the special effects cards, ranging in level from bronze 1 star to silver 9 stars. "Could you please choose which ones you need, young master?" Wen Yi nodded slightly, took the card book into his hand, and then turned to the first page. It was a bronze 1-star card named Mud Bricksmith. After reviewing the information about playing cards, Wen Yi's eyes lit up, but at first glance, the price was actually 500 gold coins. "This is just a bronze 1-star card, why is it so expensive? I remember that bronze 1-star cards are all around 100 gold coins, right?" Wen Yi frowned. "Guests, you may not be aware that stunt cards of the same quality, star rating, and bloodline are already 5 times more expensive than pure battle cards, so the price of 500 gold coins is already very fair." The girl named Linger explained with a smile, but a hint of disdain still flashed in her eyes. When she first heard that Wen Yi wanted to see stunt cards, she thought she had encountered a big customer, but who knew it was a poor kid who even thought 500 gold coins were expensive. Wen Yi furrowed his brow and quickly stretched out, saying calmly, "I'll take this, Bricksmith, card." After grabbing it in the void with his right hand, a cloth bag appeared out of thin air and made a crisp, ding-ding sound. It was exactly 500 gold coins. After handing in the money and cards in one hand, Wen Yi put away the card of the mason and asked again in a voice, "Do you have a fire source card?" "Yes, each coin can be used 10 times. How much do you plan to want?" Linger asked with a formulaic smile. Then give me 4 first. Wen Yi tugged at the corner of his mouth and said somewhat helplessly. The fire source is a regular item for beginners. Don't you want more? If you pack 100 pieces, you can get a 20% discount, Linger still introduced with some reluctance. No need, let's start with 4 pieces, Wen Yi said coldly. He was not unaware of the importance of the fire source, but after buying the bricksmith, he only had 4 gold coins left. We are currently holding an event in Cardo, and as long as you participate, you can get a certain amount of discount. Would you like to participate, guest? Linger continued. Don't participate. Wait, what's the discount law? Wen Yi was about to refuse, and when he heard about the discount, he immediately became interested. This activity is very simple. As long as you bring every customer to our store for shopping, there is no limit to the amount spent, and you can immediately receive a discount of 5 gold coins. The more you bring, the more you reduce, and the maximum amount is free of charge. Linger quickly and clearly explained the rules. Lose 5 gold coins by pulling 1 person. The more you pull, the more you lose. Wen Yi always felt that this rule had a familiar feeling, but as a newcomer to this world, he didn't know anyone. Where did he go to pull people? Linger seemed to see through Wen Yi's thoughts and continued, it's not necessarily about on-site recruitment, but you can also invite your friends to enter our Cardo store through the Sky Market for consumption, which counts. No need. Wen Yi retorted, finally realizing. Isn't this just a chopping at night? It's just a 3M routine. Linger's face was slightly ugly, but seeing Wen Yi's resolute tone, she didn't continue to promote. Can you purchase cards here? Wen Yi asked again. Of course acquisition, do you have any cards to play? Linger's eyes lit up and she quickly asked. What is the recycling price for a bronze 1-star battle card? Wen Yi asked with a heart movement. For a single bloodline, 60 gold coins. Linger quoted a price. Wen Yi nodded slightly and remained silent. After waiting for a moment, he received the fire source card and walked out of the store. When he saw the pitch-black night sky, he suddenly remembered an important question. Where do you really sleep at night? After wandering around Hongzhou town for half an hour, when he realized that he couldn't do anything without gold coins, even the inn where he stayed costs 100 gold coins per night. Helpless, he returned to his own territory without disconnecting from Hongzhou town. After all, in the state of establishing the connection, he was protected by the power of world rules. After eating some salted fish jerky and some clean water, Wen Yi stood up and looked at his 420 square meter desolate territory. His head couldn't help but ache. Tonight, he might only be camping in the wilderness. He summoned the elite mushroom dad, stripped off its black iron wolf skin cloak, wrapped it around him, found a sheltered corner, and fell asleep. End of this chapter.